Hello and welcome to the Final Bell, the official Geelong Cats podcast, brought to you by Panther Tyres. Big thanks to the team at Panther Tyres. Anything you need for your car, give them a call, check out the website, go down and visit them, whatever you need. Go and check out the team at Panther Tyres. They will sort you out. We're going to talk a whole lot of footy on this podcast and a whole lot of good footy because the Cats destroyed the Bombers on Sunday afternoon. And a massive game coming up Friday night. No guest, but we are going to take the time to answer a heap of your questions. We might even talk a little bit of the best 22, under 22. Only one Cat's name featured in the initial list of 40 men. So we're going to have a little chat about that. But we'll talk all things footy. But first of all, let's welcome in my two regular co-hosts, Scotty Gullan and Mathew Stokes. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Cameron.
Hello, Cameron.
Mathew, you are flying, happy. Just before I welcomed our listeners there, you just started laughing because that's what you do. Just always stirring me up. What a win it was on Sunday afternoon. They destroyed the Bombers.
They destroyed them. They actually destroyed them. And you could actually see that they destroyed their souls by halftime. I'll be the first to admit, I actually turned it off halfway through the third quarter.
Oh, come on, mate. I was commentating. You would have been just stayed on to listen to me, wouldn't you?
You weren't commentating. You were messaging me the whole bloody game.
Were you torn, Mathew, being a former Essendon great? Were you torn between your love of both clubs?
I was really torn. Look, I actually really love Essendon, to be honest. They helped me get to 200 games. Woosha was amazing for the 8 months that I was there, to take me in and my body was wrecked by halfway through, and to be able to just say, no matter what happens with your body, I'll get you to 200 even if you can't walk.
Well, I like that.
Really appreciative from Woosha, and I don't really like to see what's happening to him at the moment because it feels like he's been undermined by the higher powers at the football club for next year. So it doesn't really sit well with me, but we've got Chappie, we've got Mitch Brown, we've got Kel. Kel's obviously still coaching there. So there's a few of us who have gone to the Essendon at the end of our careers.
I did see the great James Kelly addressing his backline at one stage. I think it was either quarter time or three-quarter time, talking to them.
Forcefully?
Well, no, my thoughts were, stop whatever you're saying, James. It is not their fault. Walk over to the midfield group and start swinging punches because that Essendon midfield was obliterated and the ball was coming in to any one of Hawkins, Rowan, Dangerfield, whoever you want, as quick and as easy as I've seen in a game of footy in a long time. Good luck. I mean, Michael Hurley was getting pushed aside by Tommy Hawkins, but when the ball's coming in like that, Hurley's not stopping that. That wasn't on the defender. So I felt whatever Cal was saying to him, Stokesy, it wasn't going to make one iota of difference if the midfield didn't start doing something.
And knowing Cal, he would have been giving death stares over there. He would have been staring at him and really those cheeks would have gotten even redder than they normally are. But it was just contrasting everything. I think the whole game that we played Geelong Footy Club was we were just measured and we went about our business. We got it done. Everything with Essendon, they seemed like they're infighting, they're laughing at halftime. Still,
yeah. What did you think of that?
I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I was fuming when I saw it. I don't like talking about other clubs because it's none of our business. But from a professional football level, if you're down 10 goals and you're laughing at halftime, if Geelong was doing that, I'd be giving them an absolute serving right here on the podcast. So
the feel and Scotty, jump in if you want here. That this element of you've got to enjoy your football. You've got to be able to have a laugh. Richmond have done it over the last couple of years where they've told a joke pre-game or at halftime. Stokesy, when we were together during the week, we'd have our joke box, our joke committee, and it was hilarious stuff, priceless stuff.
Can you reveal some of them, Cameron, or not?
Oh, some of them have come out over time, but always before the main training session, the main team meeting. Usually Stephen King, Henry Playfair, Dave Johnson, I think Max Rook. Some hilarious stuff. Have a laugh and then lock on and concentrate on, first of all, the meeting, then the training session, and then whatever you're doing with your playing. there is a time and a place where you need to laugh and have some fun. I couldn't agree with that more. Half time, when you are down by 10 goals and have played some of the most insipid football of the season, is not the time and place to be laughing and telling jokes. I'm with you totally on that one, Stokesy.
Yeah, it's a shocking look. I mean, they're not Richmond. Everyone, you don't copy what Richmond do. They're an elite group, a special group who found a way, but Essendon can't.
You definitely don't copy Richmond at the moment either.
Kebabs all round for everyone. You were prone to a kebab, Cameron, at 3 in the morning. You would have felt, sympathy for the boys.
Can I just...
His nickname was Garlic Sauce Ling.
I was on K-Rock this morning, Stokesy.
Just another cashy.
We were reminiscing about late night snacks. Do you remember? And Geelong people will know exactly what I'm talking about. Those of our vintage. Do you remember the magic window that would appear at about 2:00 in the morning when you walked out of the Eureka? Just across that little alley, there'd be this window serving hot dogs, potato cakes, dim sims, whatever it is.
Dim sims.
A magical place that was.
It was a magical place.
That was in the off season, of course. I'm talking about here, Mathew.
Obviously, I think the game though itself, Cameron. I think we showed a maturity in the game. I reckon that maybe hasn't been there. That really has me sort of confident about going into the final series, especially this week against Richmond, which we'll get to. But for a long time, I think we've got the jitters when we've, in certain times of the game, but we just controlled it from the outset. I know they outscored us in the second half, but the damage was done early on. And again, it was just a spread. Sam Moon, the goal was bloody special. He played probably head and shoulders above everyone else. But after that, it was a really, like we've spoken about before, it was a really even contribution to the team.
Can I raise this, Cameron? How many have we won in a row now? 6, 7, 6?
6, I think. I will check that one for you.
Now, so that means we've only got to win 5 more games. But normally, and your group, your amazing group, had a little nice stumble late in the season, then refocused. I mean, are we nervous that it just keeps rolling? I'm not saying we throw a game, but some people would go, ooh, winning 11 in a row. Do you do it nowadays?
If that's the way you're wired mentally, Scotty, sure.
You agree the Port Adelaide loss for you guys helped. Realign a few things.
See, I don't subscribe to that personally.
All your other teammates did. I wrote a book about it. It was a fantastic book.
Yeah, well...
Matthew agrees with me.
All right. How do I say this? Because I was one of the ones not playing without sounding like a complete tool.
So that lost because you went there. That's right.
We had no Bartel, no Selwood, and I wasn't playing. We had players out. What we did was manage players well in that game leading up, where we didn't move all our chips into the middle of the table for a round 21 game against Port Adelaide. They did, and they won. If you hold yourself to a high enough standard and you hold each and every one of your team and your club and your coaches accountable to your own standard, not those of other teams, well, you can continue winning for as long as you like. It's only when you drop off the standards. It's only when you accept little things creeping in that aren't up to standard that you have losses in crucial games. And, okay, that's what happened in 2008. Little things had crept in and we didn't pull each other up on it. And we paid the price in the grand final. Now, you can say a loss might help correct that, but there's no reason why you have to have a loss to correct the mindset if you're strong enough and if you're having those tough conversations regardless of what the scoreboard's saying.
It's an excellent speech, Cameron.
I think if you ask the players now, though, Scotty, if you ask the players now, it's easy to say, yeah, it might have helped. But at the time, if you would have walked into our change rooms after that game, we were fuming.
Who was it? Matty, was it Henry Plaver or McCarthy? One of them. Was McCarthy playing that day?
I can't remember. Dom Cassisi kicked the winning goal, didn't he?
Like 10 years ago.
Yeah, Dom Cassisi kicked the goal on the siren. Anyway, no, that's just, there'd be nervous Cats fans out there thinking like that, but I'd probably agree. In this season, just keep the foot down. Keep rolling.
Keep the foot down. You mentioned Menegola, Stokesy. Superb again. Again, it was, Tom Hawkins was outstanding, but again, it was And I'm not necessarily saying, best on ground performances, but Jack Henry looked very good. Cam Guthrie's level was up again. Grime Myers played really good football again. Down back, Jed Hughes, excellent. And great to see him get some reward, kick a couple of nice little goals on the run. There is that level that have stepped up this year and have maintained it. They haven't just stepped up for 3 or 4 games in the middle of the year and get us a little excited and then dropped off. That standard that they have stepped to is being maintained, and that's where a premiership's going to come from. That next tier being at the level that they're at.
Couldn't agree with you more, Cameron.
A couple of possible little things just to discuss. Might be some changes to the team. Obviously, a couple of late replacements. Reece Stanley went out, replaced in the side by Josh Jenkins. Zach Toohey, our man Reggie, didn't quite get up to his
tried hard, didn't
he?
Got dressed, ran out, did everything.
Got smacked by, I think Sean Grigg was doing the fitness test with him.
He's wanted another week all about him.
I'm surprised he's not on this podcast.
I know you listen to Reg. I see through you.
Zach Guthrie came in for him. I was asked a question by Bruce McAvaney Sunday afternoon about did Jenkins and Zach Guthrie do enough to stay in the team? My answer was, and I didn't mean this disrespectfully, was no. Reece Stanley will come in for Jenkins and Toohey will come in for Guthrie. But what their games did show me was if there was a big run of injuries, that those 2 players can come in and play a role for the team and play to a certain standard. They're not yet as good as the players that they replaced, but you can at least have some confidence that if they're, and Lockie Fogarty may make way this week for Joel Selwood, for instance. Again,
we need to see the skipper. It's time.
But again, if there were a run of injuries, I'd be quite comfortable with Lockie Fogarty coming into the team. So even though they're probably not going to be there in the first final, those guys, it does again, Stokesy, show the depth that there are players who can come in if called upon and at least play to a standard that will hold up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it does show that we've got a long list. And we probably would have liked to see a little bit more of that list over this period of time because of the season that it has been. But when you have and been humming as well as we've been going this year, it's been hard to be able to say come in and bringing in these younger players and giving them debuts or giving them extra games, which normally you probably would in a normal year. But this year we've been going so well that you probably don't want to tinker with it too much. No disrespect to the players, but that would come out. But I think Reg Toohey, when he's up and about and playing consistent footy, he's probably one of our most important players. He's a bigger body, he's tough, he can break the lines with his kicks, and he very rarely gets beaten one-on-one. So he comes in automatically, he skips. And you just do whatever it takes. You pay danger for the other team for him. It's going to be a really difficult time, I reckon, over the next couple of weeks because you're in a hub. You won't be able to escape it. So, it's probably going to be really important for our coaches to be able to get around to our players more than ever over the next couple of weeks because they're probably thinking they might be missing out on something pretty special. But I do feel sorry for those players because they did nothing wrong.
They need to be ready to go, though, don't they, Stokesy?
They do need to be ready to go.
I think back, and I don't want to keep saying back in the good old days, but back to our time, Tim Callan, Charlie Gardner, Henry Playfair, Dave Johnson ultimately missed out, but were still crucial members of us winning that premiership. That was, if there'd been a little injury, bang, they would have been straight in there. I mean, we lost our All-Australian centre-half back in the last round of the year in 07, Matty Egan.
People forget that.
Yeah, so it had to shuffle. You got your All-Australian centre-half back goes down. You've got to adapt. You can't say, "Oh, poor us. We're done for." And that's what might be Fogarty. It might be Jenkins. It might be Zach Guthrie. It could be Sam Simpson. I don't know how he's travelling with his injury. It could be all of these different people who get an opportunity. Jack Stephen. Yeah. Ultimately, Jack Stephen may miss out.
Well, that's what we need to talk about, Cameron. You've raised a very good point.
Have I led you in nicely there, Scotland?
You did there. Gary Ablett, the wonderful man, I think they get out on Tuesday, so he's got nearly a week before he's allowed out of captivity. Gary Ablett and Jack Stephen, can't see how you get these two in that team. We're talking the ultimate team in a month's time. Because
Jack Stephen and Gary Abbott. No, I agree. I felt that for a couple of weeks, Scotty. You can't. I don't think they both play in the same team.
Individually, they're amazing players, great records. We get all that, but there's just a flow and a system about Close, Atkins, Myers, what's happening up there. And of course, Gaz is Gaz, and if he's fit enough and he should play, but I don't know whether you can play both. And that's a big call they're going to have to make.
So Gaz is one of the greatest players of all time, and one of just an attitude of professionalism. So he'll get himself right to go. However, he has missed a big chunk of time. Training, he hasn't been training with big groups where there's high intensity movement and there's...
He's been training with a very hard worker, Andrew Mackey.
A lot of leaning on the fence, Scotland.
A lot of yapping from Andrew Mackey. Lots.
So we need to see Gaz in round 18.
Absolutely.
And just match conditioning for him. Yes, he will present himself as the best possible shape he can, but there's no certainty. Of course, you're back in somebody as good as Gaz, but just from a body and continuity of training and intensity of training perspective, does it hold up? Does his body hold up? I don't know. I hope it does, and I'm not saying it won't. But it's still a big question.
You're a harsh man.
And when I say that about
that's being... Hang on, what? I'm not a harsh man in that if this bloke...
Go.
No. How long since he's played?
I don't care. I don't care if he hasn't played for a year.
You don't care that he hasn't played for a year. You don't care that he hasn't trained with a big group and really been tackled and wrestled and fought and long... match type simulation training. You don't care.
No. He's one person. He's the one person I'd say he can do things that only in that team that I would back in on a consistent basis would be Paddy Dangerfield that can turn a game on his head. Sorry.
Yeah, but hang on. You're talking about Patrick Dangerfield, who's trained and played consistently.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing you, Cameron.
I'm only saying there's a question there.
There's a question there, right? That's for sure. There definitely is a question. I'm playing it up a little bit here, Cameron, a bit than we normally are, which has worked. Look at you.
If you ask me out of the two who is going to play, when I said that both can't, I think it's Gaz who plays.
Yeah.
But in saying that, Jack Stephen played his best. Like, he's found his rhythm in this team, even though he comes in and out, which is a body thing, clearly. Like, I'm not saying he's going badly. It's just for the system, I'm not sure they both can play.
Okay. Well, before we get to round 18, which we will do even more on that next week, what are your changes for this week? Is it as simple as the two late changes come in and the skipper comes in for Fogarty? Anything else?
No, well, we've given up on Sav. Is this forward structure? This is what we're going with. Like, we've got to make a call, and I think they have.
Have we got any update on Gary Rowan, by the way? He looked very sore.
He said he's fine. He's put his hand up, as the cliche would say.
What I don't understand with Gary Rowan, though, you come off with a hammy and it's tight. We're up by 10 goals. What's he doing going back on the footy field?
I wondered that at the time.
Like, and I know our doctors and our physios are bloody great, and they're some of the best in the business. So there mustn't have been any risk, but I can't fathom that we're up by 10 goals and we're putting a player up there that's got a bit of a tight hammy 2 weeks away from finals. It just doesn't. I'll believe in our system and the people that are in charge of those decisions, but it was something that I sort of looked at and was watching and going, why are we even risking this?
It's a good question. Assuming he's okay, then maybe just the three changes. Is the skipper 100%? Scotty, you've always got your ear to the ground.
I think he thinks he's close, and like when we spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, he thought he'd just train and get there. I think they've been holding him back, as you do with the skipper, but it's coming to not D-Day, but you want to see a couple of weeks, let him just get back into the rhythm. They keep saying it's a week by week, so I don't know.
Okay. I think what Scotty said was I couldn't agree any more than I did with Scotty with protecting the skip from himself. And we both know, Cameron, we sometimes you need to intervene when it comes to themselves, because the bloke only knows one way. So protecting him before the finals, I think we do whatever's needed. I think he's the one person in our list that, regardless of his build up to the finals, come that first bounce of the first final that we play in, he's going to be there 110% and be the difference between us maybe winning and losing.
Maybe he doesn't play this week and they just give him the one game, bye week, bang, unleash for 4 weeks. Joel Selwood. We'll wait and see. We better take a break. I want to get to some fan questions. I want to talk some couple other things with you guys as well. Before we do, though, it's important to stay healthy while staying at home. That's why GMHBA have partnered with Keezer. If you're a GMHBA member with extras cover, you can access telehealth or in-centre physio from the team at Keezer with no out-of-pocket expenses up to your annual limits until September 30. Waiting periods and sub-limits apply. Search GMHBA Keezer for details and stay healthier at home. We're going to get to your questions. I did read the Geelong Advertiser this morning, and your old mate Cam Mooney, Stokes, I think he's put about 12 Geelong players in the All-Australian team. So he's pretty happy with the way the team's going. We might talk about that after the break as well. Welcome back. Great to have you with us on To the Final Bell, the official Geelong Cats podcast. We are brought to you by Panther Tyres. Also appreciate the support of Deakin University, and digital is in Deakin University's DNA. With 40 years of experience in distance and online learning, discover why they're the #1 Australian public university for overall educational experience. Premium, proven, loved. Study online at Deakin. We've really appreciated the support of all of our sponsors, all the club sponsors, but in particular on the podcast, Panther Tyres, GMHBA, Deakin Uni as well, and to all of the members out there. Amazing effort, and it is member thank you round this round, and a huge thanks to all the Cats members. Remember Brian Cook talking about a possible $10 million debt that the club would have at the end of this season when the COVID pandemic first hit. But because of the wonderful members out there, how loyal they've remained, and the sponsors throughout this year, obviously the club is in a much better position than what Cookie and the team thought we were going to be. And so huge thank you to all of those Cats members. And hopefully you're enjoying the season and enjoying what could possibly be a premiership season for the Cats. So it is the member thank you round. Thank you to the Cats members. Time to get to your questions now. And got a couple of sort of left field ones for us, Stokesy and Scotty. Coco asks, this one's a bit more straight down the line. How many kilometres do you run pre-game? So in a game, Stokesy, what would you have been about? 14 kilometres?
15 and a half, I reckon.
Yeah, so as a high half forward, by the end of your career and our careers, high half forwards were basically running the same as midfielders and possibly at a higher intensity, higher speed than...
we had to go chase the ball, Cameron. We weren't given the privilege of just sitting there in the ball, just landing in our lap from Otto. So, me and Stevie and Chappie, we had to go get our own footy. So we had to chase it a little bit more. Then
hang on. You've brought yourself undone with your kilometres by including Stevie and Chappie. You ran to defend and to attack. Those two guys only ran to go and get the footy.
Well, look, let's be honest. If you had to choose out of the three who had to defend, you're probably going to have to put it on me. You know? I'll take one for Stevie and Chap. They ran defensively every now and again.
Yeah, when it would maybe and be a chance of getting the footy. What about pre-game? So I'm thinking, it's hard to put a number on this. You go around, you do a couple of almost equivalent of a couple of laps, maybe at different sort of strides and that.
I wouldn't have thought any more than 1,500, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, that's the number I was thinking.
Not a lot, is it? It's more stretching and stuff than actually running, isn't it?
Well, and mobility movements, a lot of change of direction, some touch skills. You do positional work, so the midfield group breaks away and does some stoppage work. The forwards would do some leading, so you might cover a little bit of ground there, Stokes.
Yeah.
Did you have any teammates who went for a run in the morning before they went to the game? Like some I know used to go for a swim.
Nick Rewalt used to swim a K, I think, and Sam Mitchell used to run a lot 2 or 3 hours before a Hawthorn game. I don't think there was anyone like that. Was there, Stokes?
I just still freak out the fact that Maxi Rook used to drink a glass of Coke before he'd go out and play. Remember that? That was always my weird part when...
Sugar hit. I get that.
I like to sleep, Scotty.
I know you do, Cameron.
Yeah, so I didn't get up early and go for a
And
swim.
drive by yourself, not talk to anyone because it's all about you. I understand
Just sing my songs. No one liked my music, Scotty.
He always used to sing these songs before the game, prepare himself when he got to Lammies. So
just had to warm up the vocal cords.
exactly right.
All right. Aaron asks, what's your favourite finals moment from playing and non-playing years? Just one moment, Stokesy, from your playing finals. One moment.
I'd have to admit it must have been the 2007 prelim. Just that last quarter, and to hang on. That, I mean, when I think about 07 Granny, we kind of had it won by half time. So it kind of, where the prelim went all the way to the last moment, and to win that game, just the crowd, the atmosphere of that game was definitely something that I cherish and remember pretty well.
For me, and similar, just for one split-second moment, was the end of the 09 grand final, the moment the siren went. It was a combination of exhaustion, pure happiness, and incredible relief because of what had happened the previous year. And 09 being I've said this before, 09 was one of the least enjoyable years I've ever had, which culminated in one of the great feelings and moments at the end. But everything we did throughout 09 was not pointless. That's not the right word, but it just felt unfulfilling because it didn't matter until we got back to redeeming ourselves. And when that siren went, it was just an incredible emotional feeling. So for me, it was them. What about non-playing?
Non-playing would be 09 for me.
Yep.
From what we went through in 08, to be able to get, people say if you don't play, you don't feel a part of it. I think there's definitely a part. I definitely agree with that. But with what I went through at 08, playing when I shouldn't have played, 09, making some decisions to not play at certain times because I was injured, to be able to see what we went through in 08, the whole year of 09, and then to watch my club and my teammates win 09 was just a lot of people ask, is it one of your regrets? It's definitely not one of my regrets because we got success at the end of it. We won. And that's all that mattered to me. So I definitely think 09, sitting there watching it in the grandstands was hard. But at the same time, I was probably the biggest nuffy in the MCG. I was so nervous that Ryan Gamble went and got me a beer at halftime because I was just, I was very nervous. So to watch 09, there hasn't been a prouder moment, I think, sitting back and watching footy than that game.
That's why we love him, Scotty. Absolutely adore him.
Full team.
For
just
me,
like this podcast.
1994 preliminary final. As a 13-year-old, 6, maybe 8 rows back behind the Ponsford stand end goals in one of the all-time ripping preliminary finals, Geelong versus North Melbourne. Wayne Carey dominating early, Cats fought back, and that kick across, that mongrel floating thing that Lee Tudor delivered to Gary Ablett Sr., the moment he marked that and the realisation and the siren went that we were going to win it because all he had to do was score, scores were level, I jumped up and down on the seat. It was just pure fan bliss for me. And driving in the car home, I think Dad flicked it across to K-Rock, and they played the Geelong theme song back to back about 25 times. Scarves out the window, old school, driving home from the footy, beeping the horn every time you saw another car with a scarf out the window. That was pure happiness for me. Unfortunately, the following week, Scotty, wasn't so much fun.
No, Tom Boyd's goal in the 16 grand final was a very big moment in my life.
Was that when you knew?
Yeah. Then it was just like, oh, this is going to happen. This is actually going to happen.
How many times throughout your life, the heartbreak of, was it 97, I think it was?
Oh, Darren Jarman. Don't even mention his name.
This will never happen. I will not see a Bulldogs.
Yeah, I was convinced, 97 we win it because we would have beaten St Kilda by a world record amount the next week. And if Terry Wallace had have coached properly, God love him, and not put Rowan Smith at centre-half back and a few other things, we should have won that prelim. So that was the year I was haunted from that. So it took me a long time to recover, clearly.
What a year it was, 2016. That was remarkable. That whole final series was
Oh,
remarkable.
I mean, that's the best game I've watched on TV, that prelim, the GWS one. Like, I've never been on the edge of the seat, like, that far from the cat. You know, it was extraordinary. Anyway,
Nice.
we digress.
All right, John from Dingle, which is Mark the Shark O'Connor's hometown.
Oh,
Has Mark the Shark O'Connor the potential to be an all-time Cats great from a fellow Dingle man?
wow.
John, difficult to lock away and say all-time great, but I am loving, and I mean this honestly, I am loving his progression because Stokesy, you know what is so exciting about him and Jed Buse and Tom Stewart? They have learnt to play on an opponent, to beat a really dangerous opponent, and then still to be able to come off and help out in the air, on the ground, run and create when the time's right. And Mark O'Connor, what is he, 50-something games into his career, into a foreign sport. The fact that he has already embraced beating dangerous players and being able to attack, it points to a pretty exciting career.
I agree with you, Cameron. I think he's the way that he's tracking will be, next year. I think we'll be talking as if it continues to go the way that he's playing, we're talking all Australian. I think he's the leaps and bounds he's been able to come across the last 2 years to develop his football is incredible. To think where he's come from. This year, I think he's probably one of the best small lockdown players in the competition. Maybe with a lot of the other locks in our team, they probably need to do it consistent for another year, then to be considered an all-Australian material. But all-time greats, I mean, you're talking all-time greats, you're talking Scarlett, you're talking Sell.
Right.
So there's a long way to go to that, but he's definitely improved at a rate that I probably didn't think he was capable of. So
What he's got going is for his style, he's got leg speed, which, as you know, and you mentioned Stuart, they've all got leg speed and good size. And the decision-making's there, which is phenomenal, given it's a whole new sport for him. But he'll be doing the same thing for another 5 or 6 years, no problems, the Shark.
And what I like too, you mentioned there, Scotty, that the back line, so Jed Buse and Mark O'Connor play on the dangerous small forwards, and yet they're big guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I think O'Connor's a little bit taller, but Jed Buse is a big, strong guy. So they can play small, but they can also play big when they have to. So it's a good balanced backline. Mitchell asks, how proud is Lingy to see the number 45 being proudly represented out on the field? I love it. It seems weird seeing it in a long sleeve, but I love what Close is
He's got
doing.
better hands than you ever had, Cameron. How good's his hands?
Superb hands, aren't they? He's a beautiful kick. He's got he puts the pressure on. You can see the closing speed and how intent he is, but he doesn't fumble.
No.
Brilliant hands, brilliant skills, good decision maker.
He's making it hard for them to get him out of that team, which is hats off to the kid. I mean, the burden of wearing that number on top of everything else.
The bloody heavy number. I think he has a little bit of and I mean this in a really respectful way, a little bit of cockiness out there. He's got this demeanour when he's walking around that, I know what I have to do. I've got this. He never looks flustered. He looks in control. And I think that's an amazing sign for a bloke who, he's played senior footy over in Sanford, but to be able to come into an AFL level to a team that's now equal favourites with the Premiership, to be able to walk into it and then feel part of it and then hold your own, it's a big pat on the back to a young fella finding his way in the AFL system. Do
you know who he reminds me of, Scotland?
He's got dark hair. Keep going.
And Stokes's point, and it's the cockiness is the word you use, and Stokesy. It's almost just this inner total belief that now I've got my chance. I'm here, and I belong, and I'm gonna be a part of it. He doesn't fumble.
No.
His skills are exquisite, and he beautiful kick to a forward brings others into the game. Pressure's high. He reminds me of the way our man right here, came in and played straight away.
You've anointed him.
No, I feel
Stokes Mark 2.
See, I don't like doing that because it's this straight away. He's only played 10 games, and you're talking about a bloke who's Premiership player in 200 games.
Poor old Brad couldn't carry Mathew's bags, but anyway.
I'm talking about the young Mathew Stokes. Those early signs when he was applauded from the field for his repeat efforts against Port Adelaide. All those little moments, and that, and you'll say you didn't have it, Mathew, and you had doubts and all that. Absolutely. You had that little
small man syndrome.
Absolutely. In a swagger of now that I'm here to play, and that's pumped about you.
Hey, I agree with it. We'll just wait and see when he's on Mad Monday, and he rocks up late. He gets to Lord of the Isles late, and he has to scull a Guinness. If he can do that, then I'll say he's with me.
That's a good comparison.
He's doing very well, Clasey.
He is.
No, there he is.
Oh, hello,
Wilbur. Hey, Wilbur. Move Mathew aside. You come and join us, Wilbur.
Oh, he's going on the bed. He wants to go.
All right. Brock asks, what weird stuff has Tom Atkins been up to? Lived with him for 2 years.
Oh.
Huge weirdo, says Brock.
Oh, I like this.
Brock, we need more information next week for the podcast, please. Drop a couple of little stories for us.
Do we know anything, Stokesy? Has he shown weirdness in the inner sanctum?
No, not really.
His old man's weird. God love him.
His old Mick. Scary. To be honest, Tom Atkins, all I can say is he's probably the most nicest, got the best manners. He's so respectful. So I can't speak anything badly about Mr. Tom Atkins.
His dress sense was always highlighted by the boys sometimes, wasn't it?
That's what happened to those hard people. Like, Rookie couldn't dress save himself. The toughest bloke I've ever come across. So it must have something to do with those tough people.
Gee, he's important to the team, Tommy Atkins. He, at times, last couple of weeks when the midfield just smashed away, allowed others to shine. Forward line, he does a power of work.
Going into the centre bounces is nice to see, isn't it? It's not the same. That's the beauty of this team. So he goes in there, does his 5 minutes, gives someone a rest.
I really hope we hold our nerve when it comes to important games, that being able to push other people in that centre bounce than Guthrie, Mitchell, Duncan.
Yeah. Fogarty was in there for a couple of years.
First centre bounce on the weekend was Atkins, Menegola, Guthrie. And I reckon
started in there.
Yeah, by the third centre bounce, I could be getting this wrong. I'm just going from memory here. I reckon Atkins was still there, and I reckon Fogarty might have even been in.
He went in there.
With another. That makes me so happy. And you're right. Great call, Stokesy. The ability to hold the nerve on it and trust those players. Trust the centre bounce, the starting centre bounce of a prelim final to be Parfitt, Guthrie, Tom Atkins.
Oh, fantastic.
And of course, the skipper will be there as well. So you've got the skip there. But they look so good when Dangerfield's forward. But then when you, like the Bulldogs, it's not quite working perfectly. Okay, cool. Unleash Dangerfield at times and get him to play that way. Fantastic. But it's not all reliant on him all of the time. And that's how they're going to win it. I'm with you, Stokesy. Hold your nerve and trust it. Before we just do go, I did promise, they've announced the 40-man squad of 22 under 22. Only one Geelong player.
One?
In the under 22s. Brian Myers is in the forward line. Right.
Well, how old's Jack Henry? Too old, is he?
Jack Henry must be too old. Otherwise, he's surely in there. I'm just checking on my...
We'll need an investigation if that's not the fact.
So they
how old's Parf? Too old?
Too old now.
He missed out. My mail is Jack Henry didn't get in.
21.
Oh, wow.
And Parf's 21.
Parf's 21 didn't get in.
So Parfitt and Jack Henry didn't get in. Is that what you're telling me?
Wow.
Correct. Okay. So clearly those people who select this don't watch football. and have just decided
Jack
to.
Henry couldn't get in as a defender.
So they've just decided to list all these exciting early draft picks who happen to have played this year. Mind you,
That's disappointing.
so there's some terrific names, some really
there's
terrific
some good
names in this
kids, I
group,
get
but
that.
those two deserve to be there.
Connor Rose didn't make it. Wow. Okay.
The likely competition for spots for Brian Myers out of that forward line would be Ainsworth, Rankin,
No, has
Butters,
No.
Yes.
Powell
good player.
Pepper,
No.
Zerha.
No. He's playing the worst team.
And Josh Dacos a little bit.
He's had a good year. Josh Dacos, a good player. Give me the defenders, Cameron.
Defenders, Keys or Smalls? Or all of them?
He can play both.
Okay.
Jack.
Wiedering, Ridley.
Yeah,
and then
good
you've
year.
got Ballard, Buderick, Lukosius, Bowes.
Lukosius, okay. You can't have the other three.
Jesus. Will Day, who I reckon is an exciting young player, but he's played half the season and clearly Liam Baker, Noah Bolter, Hunter Clark, Nick Caulfield are the defenders.
Bolter, there's a lot of hype about Bolter, but I'd say Jack Henry's had a better year overall.
I love Baker the way he plays footy.
No problem with him.
I know he's Richmond, but I actually genuinely love watching him play footy.
And I reckon Parfs, I know he's been in and out a bit, but the quality and what he does, if he couldn't find his way into 22, that's pretty ordinary.
Who did make it in the midfield?
Who?
Bailey Smith, Scotland.
Oh, well, he should be captain. He's a megastar. What he's doing is phenomenal for a second-year player. Phenomenal.
I would agree with that.
I'll be the first to admit, Scotty, I thought he was a bit overrated. And then I watched him a few games, and I'm on your bandwagon. I actually love him.
It's great to have you on board. That means it's a proper tick. Him and Air Norton. Thank you.
Three from Fremantle in the midfield. Justin Longmuir is doing a beautiful job there at Fremantle.
He's a good
Andrew
coach.
Brayshaw, Adam Chera, and Caleb Sarong. Nice goal by Chera the other night against the D's.
Yeah, had a bit of Mathew Stokes about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not centering it, going for the goal.
Well, let's hope Grind gets picked in that best 22 under 22.
He's a lock in the forward pocket. He's kicked, 20-odd goals, wouldn't he? Maybe? Nearly 20? 15? He'd have to.
I don't know where to look for that.
No, that's all right.
You would have done your research, Scotty, and already had that with you?
Oh, it's all in my head, Cameron.
Good. I don't have my notes from the weekend's game, unfortunately, with me.
Well, that's disappointing. Geelong, the best team. They got one in that team. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll get over.
We will move on. We will move on to Friday night. The Cats taking on the Tigers. Huge clash, massive. Given last year's preliminary final, given what's at stake for this season, it is a monster game on Friday night. 7:50, second versus fourth, Metricon Stadium. It should be an absolute beauty. We will be back next week to dissect that game and talk about how the team has looked and is looking as they head in towards the last game. The fixture got announced too, Scotty. I know we're playing the Swans. Is it Sunday afternoon? Geelong versus Sydney?
I believe as I searched the
3:35.
Good
Here we are.
Scotty.
3:35 Metricon.
So the Cats will take on the Swans in round 18 then, and obviously then the bye week, and then the finals begin. But Friday night's the one
Well, there's ramifications. I mean, if Richmond win, they go 2 points clear, and then we could lose second spot, basically. So there's a lot to play for, obviously.
And if Richmond win, it keeps West Coast in with a chance of top four. Is that correct? But if they lose, no, maybe the other way around.
West Coast, well, no, because you'd think Geelong would win the last game. So I think West Coast, to get into the top four, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe top two rules. If Geelong win, West Coast no chance top two, and therefore no chance of the home final first week. But they may finish fifth and get a home final. Anyway, that's still
doesn't matter. Beat Richmond.
Scotty, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure, gentlemen.
Stokesy, always love chatting with you, and you just setting me straight in a couple of issues. It's always very nice. It gets my day started off perfectly.
Oh, well, I got used to the other way around for a long period of time, Cameron. So you're not my captain anymore, so you can go get
Beautiful. Thank you, Stokesy. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you to all of our listeners and those who sent questions in. Please keep them coming in. Now, what was Tommy Atkins' old mate's name?
Oh, yeah. We need information.
Brock.
Brock,
we
send
want
in information.
We want a couple of stories, Brock, please, on Tommy Atkins. Lived with him for 2 years. We'll talk about it on next week's podcast. Have a great week. Enjoy Friday night. We'll be back.